Joining us live, UCSF infectious disease specialist Dr. Peter Chen Hong, and also Will Hutcheson. He's a fitness coach in Brooklyn and currently has a confirmed case of monkeypox. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Reggie. Morning, Will.
Good morning. So glad you're both here. I'm going to start with you, Will. So first of all, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling okay. Like I've talked about on my Instagram video, I think, a much minor case, although it has been confirmed as monkeypox. I know there are a lot of people that are going through it a lot worse than I do today. I'm on day 9 since the first time I saw symptoms. I feel pretty okay. The sores are very painful though. So luckily they're not in a place that I am on my hands or anything, because I can only imagine.
Right, so what you'll notice as you see Will on camera here is that he doesn't have any of these pox on his face. They're not on his hands or his feet. They are limited to his genital area because Will believes that he got monkeypox through a sexual contact. Will, can you just walk us through some of the trouble you had of getting diagnosed with monkeypox?
Absolutely. So much like you, I have to wake up very early in the morning sometimes. So I woke up very early. I took a shower the night before. I shower a lot because of my job. So I took a shower the night before, and nothing was there. I woke up at 5 a.m. to take my shower and noticed that there were 2 lesions in my groin area. I pay very attention to the news, so I kind of suspected that it was maybe monkeypox. I've never personally had an STI, but and I get screened often because of course I'm on PrEP and all sorts of things. So I went and I got an STI screening, but I asked them to also test for monkeypox literally that morning, canceled everything because I was a little bit scared. So waited 2 days for that. I got the test results back. Everything came back negative, but I noticed, only because I had done my research, that they had performed the wrong test on me. They had not given me an orthopox test, which is the standard test to try to find monkeypox. So if I had not done that research, I would have been out in the world because I didn't really have very many symptoms possibly spreading it. But luckily, I figured out that it was not the right test. So I ended up going to an emergency room here in Lower Manhattan, asked them to possibly do a screening. They put me in the biohazard room. They did what is recommended by the CDC and the Department of Health, which was like full PPE, goggles, gown, gloves, and they took 2 samples, sent that away. That was on Friday, and just yesterday, so that's about 6 days after, I just got my test results confirmed. And by now, I very obviously know that it's monkeypox due to the way the lesions are performing.
So Dr. Peter Chen Hong, I think this is a really good example of what we've been hearing across the country, which is people who suspect they may have monkeypox. They go into a physician, and the physician essentially says, oh, you're fine. It's probably not that, and you don't have an STI, so go ahead and go about your life. What can people do to kind of advocate for themselves?
Well, I think, Reggie, you know, when Will was getting diagnosed, it was in the earlier days, and now we have commercial labs that can do it, reducing the barriers for clinicians to send the testing. Also, people don't know about it, frankly, still in the community, providers, that is. And that's why I'm worried about, you know, not stopping the chain of transmission, because people want to not transmit it. But if they don't know they have it, either because clinicians are not recognizing it, or there's so many barriers to sending a test and people don't know what test to send, then you can't separate the people who have it from the people who don't have it. And therefore transmission happens. We've seen this story before with COVID in the early days, when diagnostic tests were just sparingly used, and therefore there was a lot of transmission in the community.
I want to ask you another thing about Will's case. As we mentioned, his are limited to his groin area. Why is that in his case, but we are seeing other people who are having these monkeypox spread all over their bodies?
It depends on when you find it. So some people may not know they have it. It's in this particular outbreak, it starts off primarily in the groin area. It's mainly from skin to skin contact. As Will said, usually during intimate exposures. But if, say, it's on the butt, you don't notice it. But I think people do notice when it moves. So it's the movement that distinguishes monkeypox from other infections. It could be like a staph infection or herpes or something else. But the movement to the arms, the face, the mouth is really what sets it apart, the palms and the soles. And that's when a lot of people might notice it, even if they missed it the first time.
Will, what question do you have for the doctor this morning?
Yeah, so I've got a few questions. Like I said, I've been doing my research. I've been diving in, which is part of the reason I knew I didn't have the correct test. But I found a lot of gray areas, especially with the CDC and the Department of Health messaging. First off, if I have it, does that mean I have immunity, or do I still need to go get a vaccine?
That's a great question. We think that people who get disease like you did, or infection leading to disease, have good immunity and would be protected. We don't know for how long. But we think, given the experience from smallpox, that you'd be having at least a few years protection. We'll probably get more and more information as time goes on, but that's kind of what the thinking is right now.
Do you think that he should still get a vaccine now, even while he has a current outbreak of monkeypox on his body?
Well, the vaccine in monkeypox is very different from the way we think about, say, vaccines in COVID. So in COVID, if you have COVID, the vaccine doesn't really make any difference whatsoever because it helps for the future. The incubation period or monkeypox moves so slowly that if you get the vaccine in monkeypox, it actually can help you with the disease you have right now, but you have to get in the right amount of window period. So within the first 4 days after exposure, it can help you not even get disease. Within the first 1 to 2 weeks after exposure, it can help alleviate or lessen the symptoms that you already have. So that's the secret about the vaccine in monkeypox that's different from COVID.
So someone in Will's case, within that kind of 4 days of suspecting that he had monkeypox, it could help. But what are you supposed to do? Because I don't think we would probably want someone standing in line in the public next to other people waiting for a vaccine.
Well, I think the biggest advocates would be somebody from a sexually, STI clinic. For example, in San Francisco, I know San Francisco ecosystem better would be, City Clinic or Magnet or Strep, because they would advocate for you and say, hey, with your situation, let's get you in ASAP, don't line up, I'll make an appointment and you come in and you'll get it because you fit into criterion for getting the vaccine. The other aspect is, of course, they could help advise you about other kinds of therapies as well. If it's really, really serious, you may need to come into the hospital and get other medicines.
Will, what other question do you have for Doctor?
Well, kind of piggybacking on that, speaking of other treatments and other medicines, I know TPOXX, which is kind of like the name that people are giving to the treatment, is being very scarcely prescribed or not being prescribed at all. My case, like I said, is very minor. I haven't had nearly as many issues as some of the anecdotes that I've read and seen videos about online, but how would you, it was never offered to me, and I know a lot of my friends who possibly have it as well has not been offered to them. How would you suggest someone advocating for themselves or getting someone to advocate for them to get this treatment?
So, yeah, that's a great question. So there's a treatment called tecovirimat or TPOXX. It's a pill form or an IV form. The problem with TPOXX is that it's not FDA approved, so it's not easy to get at any drugstore. No one can easily prescribe it. So it has to go through ethics board and informed consent. And what it means is that even though the CDC is distributing it, not every hospital has gone through the process of, the bells and whistles to get the drug into the hospital. But in many major cities, there are hospitals. So the way I think, coming back to Will's question, you can advocate for yourself is if you have serious disease, that is disease that's confluent or big in the rectal area, in the mouth, near the eyes, because it may affect vision, or extensive, or if you're a bad host, like you're immune compromised, pregnant, or a child under 8, those would be the highest priority for treatment because it can get worse. So advocate for just asking to see which hospital in the area might have it. And then maybe they may take a transfer, may allow you to go there and have access to treatment. I know that CDC and the Departments of Public Health are trying to have more places have access to this medicine. But remember, this is still an investigational drug, which means there isn't great human data and no randomized controlled trial. But in case reports and in animal models, it seems to work well. And it was already FDA approved for smallpox, but not for monkeypox.
And before we go, I just want to make it clear that, I mean, you're seeing Will, and he looks great, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that he feels great. He's had chills, he's had a low fever sometimes, and as he said, his monkeypox are painful. But in addition to that, he is now in isolation, essentially in the room that you see, and will be there until these monkeypox leave his body. So this has been a tough experience, Will.
Yeah, and one more question just to follow up with that, because I know there's a giant gray area. It says 2 to 4 weeks, right, about when your lesions would heal and then possibly like fall off. Are you considered good to go after that, after they've fallen off? I know some videos I've seen and anecdotes say that you're not supposed to possibly have sexual intercourse for like 3 months afterwards. Is that true? I haven't really found anything to back that up.
I think the thinking is you're really transmittable or have infection that you can spread from only when you have symptoms. So not before and not after. So when the lesions drop off, I think you're good to go. As increasingly as people get vaccines and they have access to vaccines, and again, that gives you another layer of security that the person you're going to be with wouldn't get infected.
Gotcha.
Dr. Peter Chin-Hong, Will Hutcheson, it's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. Thanks for being so informative and open and honest about monkeypox. We really appreciate it.